Hi, I'm Liron Cohen.
And I'm Mimi Torchin.
And you're listening to Lady Parts TV, the podcast.
Whee!
Hello, everybody.
Hi there.
Welcome to another podcast from Lady Parts. We hope you had a great week.
Well, it's spring today. I'm sitting here in my, shorts and tank top,
which you
sweating.
do every day.
I know, but I'm thinking of air conditioning.
Anyway, let's start with the stats as we like to do. The number of shows we tallied this week was 24, out of which written or co-written by women is 15, which is 62%.
Excellent.
Directed only 6, which is a quarter. Again, there's much to be done about that, but we recently read a statistics that made us very happy about this is pilot season. A lot of pilots are being shot. And this year, 32% of the directors for the pilots were women, as opposed to last year when it was less than 1%.
Yeah, and I read an article in Entertainment Weekly that said all of the networks were trying to actively recruit women. They really wanted to show that they were there.
So kudos for that. Now let's start with our problem of the week. This time it's both of our problems.
Yes,
what is our problem?
From the beginning. CBS All Access. Really greedy bastards. Come on.
We've talked about it many times on our vlog, how we resent a major network that has so much money.
So wealthy, has, I'm sure, plenty of government help, gets millions and millions and millions from advertising, that they feel they have to take two of their best shows and make us pay for them.
With ads. And the fact that a major network would do that and
get away with it.
And get away with it.
Also driving me crazy. I wanted them to be gone already.
Right, and we're not giving them money on purpose because also we don't want this to become a trend. We don't want all major networks or all cable networks to now start having their own other privileged section where
they
only
put
people
their best dramas.
Well, and also you're paying all that money only for a couple of shows, which is ridiculous. At least on Netflix and Hulu and Amazon, you get a plethora of
exactly,
other
and you
entertainment.
have well, supposedly you're getting their whole catalog, but we get their whole catalog
on
anyway,
television,
on demand.
So this is our
and you have to pay more if you want it without ads,
and you have to get a special device because you can't just watch it on your smart TV.
Doesn't allow
it. Fuck you, CBS, as we've been saying for years.
However, on the other hand,
we thought that a show like The Good Fight should be evaluated by its merit rather than on its platform. And we love The Good Fight.
Oh, it's just a sensational show. I actually think I might like it better than The Good Wife. I know. I loved The Good Wife. It was brilliant. It was amazing. And maybe this is just my cloudy, misty-colored, watercolored memories.
And that one second in the end.
That slap that sort of wiped out the whole
such a shame
show for me.
But yeah, first of all, let's just remind everybody, if you don't know, that this is an offshoot from The Good Wife, starring several of the main cast from The Good Wife. So it's Chris Jumbo, Christine Baranski,
who I want to get a Best Actress nomination for the Emmys.
She's so fabulous, and in this new iteration, she's completely lost her mind because of Trump.
All right, she hasn't completely lost her mind, but she's hallucinating.
Compared to Diane, who's very self-possessed, she has a whole new attitude, an attitude of fuck it. She has been microdosing on mushrooms.
Seen very interesting things.
Just enough to make her just loosen up and laugh with her
fabulous laugh that is just so contagious.
Sarah Steele, who plays Marissa Gold, also returns in this with
a much bigger
spin-off. She's so fantastic. We also have, if you know her from Game of Thrones, probably Rose Leslie.
Yes, indeed.
Whose character, by the way, is a lesbian. And this
Except
season,
in real real life, she's marrying
Jon Snow.
Jon Snow. Yes.
And also this season, the second season, Audra McDonald joins the cast, which is always a wonderful, exciting.
Yes, we don't know yet if we're going to like her or not like her.
Right. But anyway, there are a lot of fabulous guest stars, as The Good Wife always had. So people like Christine Lottie, Bebe Neuwirth, Jane Lynch, Andrea Martin, and of course some favorites came back from The Good Wife like
Mamie
Carrie
Gummer,
Preston.
Carrie Preston, and Bernadette Peters, who's actually from The Good Fight.
Right. She came back from
the
season
first
1.
season. Mm-hmm.
Anyway, the show is very much centered on women. It's all about powerful, fabulous women.
The men barely register except for Delroy Lindo, who is a wonderful actor.
It's the sisterhood, the camaraderie. Sometimes they pit them against one another, which we don't appreciate.
They've always done that.
But mostly they really are there to help one another.
Mm-hmm. The friendships are wonderful, especially Maya and what's Christian? Luca.
And also Marissa.
Maya and Marissa, yeah. Yes, there's a solidarity.
Well, and there's mentoring,
yes.
Diane. Mm-hmm. And they always deal with very contemporary topics, very timely, very important topics, and their characters are always, every single one of them is one of a kind.
Yes, they're very original.
With their eccentricities. I don't know if you remember the goats, but there are just many crazy things.
The goats had to do not with women.
No, it's just that they're so specific.
They're great.
They come up with the most bizarre ideas, and they're just great. Not enough female writers and directors on the show, but I hope it's going to get better. The show is partly created by a woman. So anyway, we love the show. So fuck you, CBS, but we love you, The Good Fight.
Yes, and I guess we have to tell you to try to get it.
We're going to let you decide on that. We're going to just let your moral compass lead you. Now, this is a TV special that's not that new. We just caught up with it, but it is on HBO and you can watch it all the time. Yes. It's HBO Go or on demand. And it's Notes from the Field.
Anna Deavere Smith written and performed. And of course, the way she does this, first of all, this is how we first came to know Anna Deavere Smith. She did a play called Fire in the Mirror, Crown Heights, Brooklyn, when there were terrible riots going on and between the religious Jews and the black community there.
In Brooklyn.
In Brooklyn. I said Brooklyn.
Oh, sorry.
And she did a play about it. And what she does is she interviews people. The whole text of the play is done from verbatim, edited verbatim interviews, and she plays 15, 16 different characters, both women, men, children.
Oh, the real life people.
Real life people. And she is spectacular.
She's phenomenal.
Her range of acting ability, her intellect, her moral compass, the way she shows all sides of a question, but still pointing to...
The way she also weaves it together, leading up from one thing to another, completely building a picture for you to really see that you don't usually see in just in life and in news.
Right, and this is Notes from the Field is Black Lives Matter, A Lost Generation, and it's sort of the pipeline from high school to prison, and how this happens and how it affects an entire generation
and a community,
especially of young black men.
And the thing about Anna Deavere Smith is that usually when she is on television, you couldn't even fathom the range of this woman and what she's capable of. I mean, if you, for example, see her in For the People, which is she's
very droll.
It's a very small role, but what she does, she'll really knock your socks off in Notes from the Field. And I think every American should watch this and truly understand what goes on, because not enough of us understand.
And it's on HBO.
HBO, Notes from the Field, Anna Deavere Smith. Okay, we can't not talk a little bit about Wentworth.
Well, especially now that we know when it's happening.
Finally, they've announced the premiere of season 6, which in case you, I don't know, just woke up from a coma, it's June 19th. I know a lot of you are like, it's so far away.
Believe me, it'll come fast.
It will come fast. And also, we've had the announcement that season 7 was happening.
So you can just let out another breath.
Just relax. So we're going to have Talking Teal vlogs for the premiere and the finale. In the middle, we're going to have perks. So we already have a couple of people who bought the Talking Teal podcast. So you'll know you'll have a couple of those. And you can at any time go to our homepage at ladypartstv.com, click on the Indiegogo link for supporting us, and pick up your Talking Teal perk. So here are the list of things, very basic, minimal things that we need in season 6 to redeem itself, for the show to redeem itself for us, because I don't know if
perhaps to begin to redeem itself.
Yeah, I don't know if you've been around for Talking Teal for season 5, but the season left us very cold. Almost as cold as we hope Joan Ferguson's body is.
Not quite that cold. We don't deserve that, but she does. Joan has got to be dead.
So that's the number one requirement.
And I just have to say before we move on is I don't think we're getting it.
You really don't think so?
I really think that Joan will be back. They are just loath to kill her. And what I hate so much about this is Pamela Rabe is one of the great actresses on television, one of the great discoveries in the last 10 years for me, as far as I'm concerned, and I can't bear to look at her face.
Well, I sure hope they don't do it, because if they do it, it will ruin the entire season for me. I can't come up with a scenario in my head in which they would bring her back and it would be okay.
She was buried alive, in case you're just coming to this.
As she sees Bee's picture in front of her face and screaming.
Someone she killed.
So, but anyway, this is the number one requirement for us, but we do have a couple of more requirements. So the show has to pay more attention to realism. It just has to be more realistic. We can't have all these oversights, all these cameras that you can just
push away with a broom,
and do whatever you want.
I mean, the things they get away with. Wentworth has to be the worst run prison on the planet.
Yeah. For all
them
these
to
murderers.
run amok in the way they run amok.
Yeah, no, the show just really got kind of off the rails on that, so I hope that they focus better on that. Kate Jenko has to have more to do, people.
Give that girl a real big, fat role. She's a wonderful actress.
And a beloved character.
Beloved. You wasted her so heinously after Bee's death.
Unbelievable and unjustifiable.
I can't even imagine it, except to give more
to Frankie,
Ferguson.
and
Ferguson,
Frankie. Right? That's right. Now, they have to bring back some of the light, some of the humor, a few moments of relief, because we just can't get hammered constantly.
Yes, there's no light.
We just
at
can't,
the end of any tunnel.
No, we can't do that anymore. And that goes along with bringing back the sense of family and sisterhood, and not just everybody on their own, at odds with everybody and miserable.
Yes, the sisterhood and the family idea was very prominent in the first couple of seasons.
Well, they got rid of
so important. Then they started,
getting rid of
killing
them.
everybody
Life flies.
Mm-hmm.
So we shall see. We will definitely tune in and hope that they check mark all these this list.
I wonder what would make it. Many of you, I'm sure, don't care. You're perfectly happy with it the way it is, but. For those of you who were disenchanted, we'd love to know what you need.
Yes, what is on your list? Please let us know.
Wish list.
Now, this is a show that we should talk about anyway, but we want to talk specifically about one character, an actress. This is Rise on NBC Tuesdays at 9 p.m. We don't know if you've been watching.
It's such a wonderful show, especially for you people who were ever theater geeks. As children, as teenagers,
or people who have families and want a show that they can watch with their kids.
It's a wonderful show to watch with your family. It's a true story that is based on a teacher and a theater program in a sort of a depressed community, Levittown, Pennsylvania. This is called Stanton, I think.
Something like that.
And it's about a teacher who decides he takes over the drama department and decides that he's going to present Spring Awakening, which is very controversial. Very controversial,
very provocative, very forward-thinking, not anything that this community is used to. It raises a lot of different topics. There's coming out, there's a trans kid, grown-up stuff, teenage stuff.
Football player taking time away from football
it's
to
not,
be in the play, so it's art versus sort of commerce almost.
Even though there's music in it, it's not Glee.
It's not
Don't
Glee by any
Glee.
stretch of the imagination. It's much darker than Glee was.
But who we really love on the show.
Oh my God, Rosie Perez.
Rosie Perez, who plays Tracy, who is the heart and the humor and the wit of the show.
She is so delicious. I've always loved her, but I realize I haven't seen her in much. I mostly know her as a personality.
Well, she's been on also as on the The View, right?
But she's been off The View also for quite a while. But
anyway, but I mean, she really
she's
is
an
activist.
She's someone that I know in life better than I know her work, and she is a wonderful actress. She is Well, to me, she's sort of the way she is. I mean, it must not be much of a
sure
stretch. She's warm and witty and loving, and
at the same time edgy and funny, and not hard to get through her layer.
Yes.
Not easy to get through her layers.
She's actually a soft touch underneath it all. And she's the one who'd been doing the shows prior, and I think to save money, they gave it to this math teacher or whatever.
Who has no experience,
she knows, but has his own vision.
But she knows this theater inside and out. She cares so much about these kids.
She sticks around and helps him do the show. There's so many elements that you will love, but Rosie Perez is the thing and the person and the heart and soul that will move you more than anything.
So check it out. It's Rise, NBC, Tuesdays at 9 p.m.
Wonderful cast. All the kids are great.
So last week we told you that we were going to watch Novitiate and tell you about it, and we did. First of all, let's briefly tell you what it's about. It's a 2017 movie that's available on Amazon Prime, but it is set in the 1960s. Written and directed by a woman, Maggie Betts, and all the roles behind the scenes are female. It's a very female-centric movie.
Extremely, and I'm so happy for that.
I think that the entire cast, minus one person, are all female. And this takes place in the Novitiate with this new generation of girls who want to become nuns in a very specific order. The Rose Order. Which
is very, very restrictive, almost a silent order. They do no good for anybody. They just they don't. And it's brought up. Yeah. They just pray and have self-abnegation.
Yeah.
It's
all about being married to God. And otherwise
loving it.
And otherwise pretty much sacrificing all that you are and living in poverty and in suffering, and they still even self-flagellate. But then Vatican II happens, which tries to take the church forward. This actually happened in real life. Tries to make the church more accessible to people
because they were losing. They were losing people. They were leaving the church.
And so, the mother reverend of this church played
ferociously by Melissa Leo.
Melissa Leo, who I always love, but she just
she never takes a wrong step, and really this role is different from anything I've ever seen her do, and she very much resists the Vatican II, and yes, because it pretty much negates their order,
right? And so this is the protagonist, Margaret Qualley, who is, by the way, Andy McDowell's daughter, and
Mr. Qualley. I don't know who her husband is.
You might have seen her on The Leftovers. She's the protagonist who takes us in.
She's a lovely young actress,
right? She's one of the young women who are interested in becoming a nun. And Julianne Nicholson, who plays her mother, also another actress who I love, but in this really shines and shows a different side to her. A different
side of her. I've never seen her play a role like this. It's really quite terrific. And Diana Agron, who you will remember from Glee.
Not a big enough role.
In quite a different role. A small role, but still she makes her mark, and she's quite lovely.
This is not a lesbian-themed movie, but there is a lesbian subplot. It's very much part and parcel of the general hardship of negating and denying yourself of human love and affection.
Yes, human touch. I mean, it's repression again, and what repression does, which is very interesting because Spring Awakening is very much about that.
Now, Mimi and I kind of felt different about it. I was personally fascinated by the movie. I was immersed in it. I was really interested in seeing this very different way of life.
Mm-hmm. It made me want to kill myself. Yeah. Otherwise, we felt
exactly
the same about it.
Usually we're the opposite.
Yes,
you have much more patience for things like that.
A lot of patience for a slow movie. I mean, I watched all of Tree of Life, but I watched it for the visuals. There's always something I can find, even in a very slow movie, to like.
Well, in this, I would think the acting would do that for you.
The acting was the only reason that I didn't say, you can finish this by yourself.
I thought it was very well written. I thought the ideas behind it were very good. I thought the subtlety of it, I really enjoyed every second of it. So we're interested in hearing what you thought of it. Are you on Team Mimi or Team Liron?
Well, you're going to also have to pay to see it.
Right.
It's on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, you have to pay $6, I think.
$6, which I think is a lot to ask.
Let us know.
But I'm happy to support female
absolutely
filmmaking.
Absolutely.
So for that reason alone, I was willing to pay the $6.
Now, continuing on the theme of LGBTQ, the Novitiate wasn't really that all the way, but we have to talk a little bit about this week's episode of SVU, Law and Order. This was season 19, episode 18, Service. And you don't really know that that's what it's going to lead to, but this is about trans people in the military.
Well, it's about that, but it's also about rape and the he said, she said,
right.
aspect of prosecuting rape and also loyalty to each other in the military.
Right, but this what was new about it, which because all the rest of the things that you said are regular themes on SVU, what was new about it was this trans in the military aspect, which is very timely with Trump and his tweeting
from Air Force One,
yes,
that they would be taken out of the military.
And
this does happen though towards the end.
Right, but it is a surprise, and as Mariska...
Well, it won't be a surprise now, but it is a surprise.
You don't know... We didn't tell you who
right.
it is. But as Mariska pointed out after the show on Instagram, they wanted to show trans people as heroic, as people of service, as people who care about helping others. And I was looking at Mimi thinking, we've come a long way since that Kathy
Griffin lesbian episode. Predatory bitch. Whoa.
Yeah. Also, I'm happy to say that from everything I could find online, it seems that Marquise Wilson, who plays the trans character, is trans in real life, and I'm happy to see more and more trans roles played by actual trans people.
And I have to say, if you hadn't been told, you never would have guessed it.
No. And speaking of Mariska, this is a little bit of a little heads up for you to not miss her documentary coming up this Monday, April 16th at 8 p.m. on HBO. It's called I Am Evidence, and it's an investigation into how the police handles both rape kits and just cases of sexual assault. And yes, a hint, it is horrible. That's how they treat it, horribly.
And there's thousands and thousands and thousands and
hundreds of thousands, actually.
Hundreds of thousands of rape kits sitting in shelves, gathering dust, and the
nobody
evidence,
bothering.
Disintegrating.
Yes, nobody bothering to look at them. So this is a very important movie by Mariska Hargitay, who I'm so grateful that she has devoted her life to really doing what she can do that is parallel to her character's purpose.
Yes, using her fame to promote something extremely worthy. And by the way, if you don't see it on the day that it's there, it will be on demand. On demand
and on HBO Go always, of course. I highly recommend it, and we will talk about it next week after we've seen it. Also, a heads up, Here and Now is having its finale this Sunday on HBO at 10 p.m. If you haven't been watching Here and Now, please watch it. We want to talk about the finale next week, and we want you to be able to be part of the discussion.
Here and Now is like, to me, a grown-up version of This Is Us.
But a very, very different.
Very quirky.
Not as sentimental.
No, not sentimental
at all.
Not as cliche.
Very quirky. Not as sticky.
Very, very original premise, and the acting is wonderful. I haven't seen Holly Hunter in anything I've liked her as much in for years, and Tim Robbins, who I've never liked, is really quite wonderful too. It's got a very good cast, an engaging cast of young people. And
it just deals with, first of all, it's such a unique show. It's a one of a kind. We don't want to get into it because we will talk about it next week.
Yes, and anyway, it's too complicated to even talk about.
But we really, really want you to watch it and binge on it before next week so we can talk about the finale, because the finale looks mind-blowing.
It does, almost literally. And by the way, Nakar Zanigan is in it. Yes. And so all of you Elena Undone fans will be very happy about that.
Yeah, we will talk about it more because it really is a very, very one-of-a-kind, unique show.
I look forward to it almost more than anything else every week. And I look forward to 50 shows a week.
Yeah. So this is our podcast for this week. Thank you for joining us. Yes. We hope you got all these recommendations and go and watch every single one of them. And we look.
You can trust us,
of course. and if you, whatever it is that your reaction is, again, don't forget to let us know.
If you disagree,
or if you agree, ladypartstv@gmail.com. Comment here on YouTube, everywhere, anywhere you want. Let us know.
You can even skywrite it.
And on that note, have a wonderful weekend.